Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
Trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer! Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection. Puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron, and we got a lot to talk about. A lot happened just yesterday in the world of the National Basketball Association. But make sure to like, subscribe to the Off the Ball podcast YouTube channel, and to make sure to leave a 5-star rating on all Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and any other podcast platform you listen to. So let's get right into it. People were getting scrappy yesterday. People were getting scrappy in the NBA yesterday. We had a couple of fights, fisticuffs in the NBA. We had the Hornets, Pistons. Of course, Isaiah Stewart always getting involved. It was a whole big thing. I think it was Diabate, right? He had gotten into it. And then it escalated to a whole big thing, a bunch of fights, a bunch of punches thrown, and I think 4 guys were ejected in that little scuffle, and so it was a lot happened. It was Jalen Duren and Diabate got into it, and it was then Miles Bridges was putting up hands, and of course Isaiah Stewart, him got into it. Isaiah come up to, so he'll probably have a nice little suspension coming up very soon, as far as and all those other guys. But also on top of that is the Hornets win streak is no longer. Their 9-game win streak is done. They were one of the they were playing really good basketball. I mean, I think their winning margin was like one of their best. If I could be wrong, or some stat where it was like the best in the month of January. Like they were playing really good basketball. And the one thing about the Hornets I've been saying for a long time is I just haven't seen them play serious basketball. And obviously that starts with LaMelo, and I have been really critical of him and his play, because I just doesn't feel like it's translated to winning basketball. And now, listen, I know they won 9 straight. They're still not even above 500. They might be the 10th seed as of right now in the play-in. Let me double check on that, but they're still figuring things out. Obviously, Conconnipple has had a tremendous rookie season, and he. It's going to come down to him or Cooper Flag most likely for rookie of the year. Like he's having that guy. Yeah, they're the 10th seed right now. 4 games under, only a game and a half back from Milwaukee and Chicago with the 11th and 12th seed in the play. And so a losing streak away from being out of the play-in contention. So, but I will give them credit. They have been playing really good basketball, but having winning players like they've surrounded LaMelo with, I think has been really important to why this Hornets team has in it. And I'm also on TikTok too. So if you hear me, go see looking down and looking at my phone. I'm on TikTok live also. The Cavs have been balling. Yes, Lola, the Cavs have been balling. The Harden thing is gonna work out. At least regular season wise, it'll work out. I'll see how it works in the playoffs once the game gets a little bit settled down. Play more half court style, but we'll see how that transpires in the playoffs. But the Hornets, The Hornets have just been played relatively good basketball. Miles Bridges has been good. Pick, Musa Diabate. They I think he was a second round pick, I believe, a few years back, Michigan. So a kid I liked. I liked him. And he's starting to emerge. Can block shots, rebound, tough. Add them toughness and just a part of winning culture. Just guy who's I think he was on the final on that team with Juwan Howard that went far. But just adding winning type players around LaMelo I think was very key for them to have success. And it seems like it's working. LaMelo, he hasn't shot the ball well. Even during the streak, I think he was shooting below. I mean, he's shooting below 40% in the regular season, but I think he was still shooting below in the mid to high 30s, but he was just playing a little bit better, well-rounded basketball, so I'll give him credit on that, but he still needs to show me more if I'm good, if he's going to be face of a franchise, I still have my skepticism on that, if he could be that player, but they've played better. Brandon Miller's been really good. He's looked like he's looking like why they took him so high. So good for them. The streak's over. The Pistons are a really good basketball team. They've played really good. They played good. That's why they're the number one seed. And, they took down my New York Knicks, who were on a hot streak where we won 7-8 in a row. And even though we were missing some guys, they took us down and they gave us a nice whooping. One thing that's good about the Pistons is they play well on the road. They're a really good road team, so they're going to travel well. Where the Knicks, we struggle on the road. Under 500 team on the road. At the crib, we good. Shangosito, we think Wemby is going to go over 20 points today. I got to see who are they playing against. The Lakers. Yeah, he should get over. Lakers defense is a little us. And that's one of my next topics I'm going to talk about. Is LeBron James talked about the Lakers and their title chances. So we'll talk about that. But to finish off with the Pistons have just been, just showing why they're, a year ahead of schedule. Like I thought last year's team would be what this year's team would be. Like I thought they were a year ahead of schedule, but Cade is obviously leveled up. He's going to be an MVP candidate. When everything's said and done, he might win the MVP for all we know. Especially with SGA out and Jokic has missed some time and Wemby has missed some time. Cade could win the MVP, especially with the 65 game stuff. So they just, Asar has been really good, especially defensively. I mean, he's so good defensively. I mean, he might be the best on-ball defensive player in the NBA. There's Tim, his brother, Amen, is good. Dyson Daniels, there's some good guys, but he might be the best defensive on-ball defensive player in the league. Just overall, on-ball, off-ball, he's just a really good player. But yeah, they got a nice 5.5 game lead on the Knicks, who are the 2 seed. Tied with the 2 seed for with Boston and New York. Do you see the Pistons and the Hornets? Yes, Kirk. I just talking about it right now. I saw the fight. Crazy. It definitely got a ruse, out of me. It was seeing Isaiah Stewart just come from the bench and just not care. He's an interesting cat. But the Pistons are good, man. Pistons are good. This is no joke. Like they are a really good basketball team, and they ended the Hornets team that was just on a roll, took care of business. They'll be missing some guys, but my only skepticism on the Pistons, if Cade isn't going, can someone else step up? Who will be that second guy that can step up? Because that's the one thing that maybe can stop them from getting to where they want to be. And obviously that's the NBA Finals and potentially winning it. Who's that other guy? Because right now, Tobias Harris, Duncan Robinson, Jalen Duren is Is he that up? Is he up to that? Up to that? Up to that feat to be the second guy? Like that's the thing, because Cade's still, as great as he been, there's still some things offensively where he just, especially getting to the rims. Some of his rim finishing numbers aren't great, and he's still, not a great outside shooter. I think I saw something his last 10 games shooting below 30%. So, and I think let me look overall. He's shooting 32% from the field. If it's not going, and those are some things we saw in the Knicks series last year where his outside game wasn't there. And if it was, we'd be having a different story. They would have beat us. They took us to 6 with him not being a great perimeter player, not shooting great from outside. That's just the one thing that's just lacking in his game. If he can get that going, I mean, he's definitely going to be an MVP guy. But Pistons end the Hornets streak and continue to reign atop the Eastern Conference with a 5.5 game lead over the Knicks and the Boston Celtics. Talk about other news. Branden Ingram is replacing Steph for the All-Star game. Branden Ingram having a really good season. He's the second Toronto Raptors All-Star to make the All-Star game, along with Scotty Barnes. Having a really good season, Branden Ingram has Toronto as a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. Playing good ball, average of 22 a game, almost 6 rebounds, 48% from the field, 36% from 3. Just playing good ball. I think he's 85%, 84% from the free throw line. So he's playing really good basketball. Hits some big shots. So he deservedly so. And we're gonna see a lot of guys. A lot of replacements. A lot of replacements are gonna happen because a lot of guys are hurt. So, but yeah, Branden Ingram deserve. He probably should have been a all-star. From the jump, but he'll get to be an all-star as he replaces Steph. Steph is out. But one of the big things I really wanted to talk about is obviously LeBron James stuff, man. LeBron James, they lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder last night with no SGA, and he wasn't happy. The Kang, the NBA's all-time leading scorer, was not happy. He was not a happy camper, and expressed his frustration with, their chances. And it just kind of feels like we're slowly, eventually going to see the end of LeBron James, at least in the Lakers uniform this year. Like, I think this is it for him in LA. I've been saying for the last 2-3 years that I think this is it, period, for LeBron. I don't think he's going to retire till next year. I think next year is definitely it, but this year I think it's in. It just feels like the writing's on the wall in LA. And Invincible Spaghetti says, I think it's his last season. I think it's his last season, Invincible, in LA. In the NBA, I think there's one more year. I think he has one more year. But he called out the Lakers, said we're not a title team. He did not like the effort put in, with their performance last night versus Oklahoma City. Like I said, it was not at full strength, no. So he was just disappointed with the play, giving up 119 points to a team with no SGA is telling. The bench had, I forgot how much the bench had. They had like close to 50 points off the bench. OKC. So it was just Jalen Williams didn't even shoot the ball great, but they still weren't able to take care of business against OKC at the crib too. Luka didn't play, but you still a game where it felt like you should have took care of business, and they just weren't able to, especially second half. They just couldn't score in the second half. It was a struggle. He should go to the Cavs. Yeah, I think next year he's going to the Cavs. I'm glad when he retires. I think next year's it. I think he retires next year. If you're on TikTok, go follow me on my off the ball podcast YouTube channel. Trying to get to 700 subs. So make sure to go give me a follow there. And if you're watching me on YouTube, I'm on TikTok. So make sure to follow me on TikTok. But yeah, LeBron quotes exactly. I'm gonna read the quote exactly. Um, try to pull it up right here. You want me to compare us to them? That's a championship team right there. We're not. James told reporters, we can't sustain energy and effort 48 minutes, and they can. That's why they won a championship. So he straight up said he doesn't think. Off the ball podcast. Mercutio. I like how you have the right next to your name. Yeah, go off the ball podcast, and you'll see. There's a soccer podcast. It's called Off the Ball, but I'm Off the Ball podcast. So you'll see that, and you'll see a picture of caricature of me with a microphone. So I don't know if I can link it here. Can I? I don't think so. But yeah, I think I have a link tree in my bio too. So if you want to check that out in the link tree, let me double check. Yeah, there's a link tree. So the link's right there. So make sure to go check that out. But yeah, LeBron just not happy with the effort for this team. It's been an up and down season for the Lakers. They at moments they look like they can be a championship level team, and then there's moments where they fall flat, like tonight, last night, and don't look like a championship caliber team. Obviously, and listen, I know people are going to probably get up in arms over those comments. I think he's just telling us strictly how he feels, and he may not be wrong on that. Are they a championship caliber team? Currently constructed? I don't think so. Now, can they win a playoff series? Yeah, they could probably win a playoff series, possibly. They would play Houston right now. I think Houston would take them down in 7 games, personally. But they can win that series also. I wouldn't be surprised because Luka can get hot. LeBron can still do LeBron things. So and they'll take advantage of them. Houston not having a point guard they could trust. I could see that, but currently constructed, then they go to the next round, they'll play Denver or San Antonio, and it's over. So yeah, they're not a championship caliber team right now. Currently constructed, no, they are not a championship caliber team. They don't have enough size, they don't have enough, they're not young, they're an old, relying on a bunch of old guys. So I get where LeBron is coming from. And it's crazy. You would think the Lakers were battling for the play. You think they were the Clippers. They think we were 25 and 28, whatever, battling for a play-in spot. And, they're sitting as a top 5 seed, I think. And with potential to go up probably as far as 3. They're only like a game and a half behind Denver for the 3rd seed. So they're a win streak away from being the 3rd seed. But we saw how that was a few years back when they played really good was last year, JJ's first year, and they looked pretty good, and then they got bounced in the first round by Minnesota, by a younger, more energetic team, and Minnesota's going through their own things right now. They have their own little turmoil. Rudy Gobert called out their effort. Let's read some comments. Universal chat, Soul Chat. The Lakers been getting slow in the second half lately. Yeah, they struggled offensively in the second half, especially last night. They just don't have energy. When you're an older team, man, if you don't have energy, you play these younger teams that have just a bunch of young bodies. It's going to be tough, and that's why they could be in trouble come playoff time. Love the Knicks, but I can't help to question Cat's motor. Talking about Karl Anthony Towns, the motor, at times his motor can be questioned, but I also know he's a big human being and he's already slow-footed, so sometimes it could look like he's not trying, but that boy is a slow-footed man. So I get that, but he got called out earlier this year, not too long ago, right? A few weeks back for his questionable defense. But I think he gives. I relatively think Cat gives it his all for the most part. He's a big dude. He's a big dude, and sometimes we're gonna see him take some plays off. But I think now he's dealing with injuries too. I know he's got a few injuries he's dealing with right now. So not to make excuses, but you should always be no, that's not me. I wish I had 1.2. I'm trying to get the 1.2. No, I am around close to 700. 700. Like I said, off the ball. If you wanted to get a direct, because one of my videos did like 10K views, go off the ball podcast. Dink Pate, because that video I did, it did like 10K views. That should be like one of the when you do off the ball podcast, Dink Pate, it should be one of the top videos, if not the top one, because I talked a lot about him during the off season. Because I got a buddy of mine who's in the know with him, and I was really high on Dink Pate. I thought he should have been drafted, and Knicks gotta hopefully somebody picks up Dink Pate, because Dink Pate can hoop, and he can hoop, and I know there's still a chance he might want to try to go back to college. That's also another thing. But yeah, the Lakers are kind of trying to figure things out on the flow. It has been a up and down season. Some other news. I know Jason Tatum has ramped up some of his workouts. So, with the chances of maybe coming back. I don't think he should come back. If I'm Jason, I kind of just, I know it sucks. I kind of would just lay back, but it all depends how he feels, man. I'm not gonna tell him what he should do with his body and how he feels, but that's tough, man. That's really tough to come back within a year from an Achilles injury. I don't think we've seen that, right? It could have happened, but I don't remember. So we'll see what. I mean, they're the third seed, and they just picked up Vucevic, and he kind of fits what him and Jalen do with, Vucevic, and as far as Boston's downhill attacking style with White too, and kicking it out so Vucevic could hit some threes like that. Adding Jason Tatum would add that, but how does it look? But they're sitting in a good spot right now, third seed, and want to get some revenge, if you're Jason Tatum. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, it's just looking at the Eastern Conference right now. So you got Detroit as the 1 seed, New York at 2, Boston 3, Cleveland 4. Cleveland's played some good basketball. They won 9 out of 10. Toronto at 5, and Philly's 6, and then the play-in is Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte. Vooch has been focused on boards and banging points in the paint instead of shooting threes. Yeah, that's probably going to be something you see a lot of him now, simply because they don't have Jason Tatum. But I think his ideal fit for Boston is that role, kind of what he's been doing, his whole time in Chicago and stuff, is just, hit three, because he can obviously shoot the three, but he hits some clutch threes too. That's kind of his game. But obviously now they need him to, get in the post, get some boards. So, okay, and in the West you got appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Kawhi and Mathurin playing versus the Rockets. I got the Clips winning. Kawhi's been on a heater, man. Kawhi's playing some of his best basketball. It just sucks that it's going to be for nothing because they traded everyone, and they're not a good basketball team. They're not a good, and it was crazy because they make all those trades and they were playing really good hoop. They got back from that slow start, but appreciate all the follows. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm obviously a basketball content creator. Been doing this for a few years. I've do some stuff for Knicks Fan TV. If you ever heard of them, I've interviewed NBA players. I've interviewed coaches. I've interviewed scouts. Draft guys. I've interviewed everyone. Some of the best content creators. So I've done a lot of stuff in this. So it's been a lot of fun doing this too. So, but I'm off work today, so I figured, let's go on live. Let's talk some hoop. We've seen Kawhi in this position before. Yeah, then he's out. Man, he's hurt. There's another OTB podcast space. Each letter of this man's podcast on. Space each letter of this man's podcast on. Yeah, there's another OTB podcast. It's a soccer podcast. It's just called OTB Ball. OTB, but my Off the Ball podcast. You'll see me in it's a caricature of myself, and then it's a mic and a basketball, I believe. All favorites tonight? Oh man, who we got tonight? Let's look at this. Let's look at the schedule. Look at the slate of games. What's today? 10th? Oh, today's the 10th, right? New York. We got the Knicks, Pacers, Rockets, Clippers, Suns, Mavs, Lakers, Spurs. I'd say the Spurs. I take the Spurs over the Lakers. I take the Suns over the. Is Booker back? Booker's back, right? Yeah. All right, so I'll take the Suns over the Rockets over the Clippers. Even though that should be a good game though. Kawhi versus, and then I'll take the Knicks. What happened to LeBron? LeBron not happy with the Lakers. He's not happy with their effort. Doesn't think they can be comparing them to the OKC. He's like, yeah, we're not in that stratosphere. So he's just questioning them their title hopes. You know, obviously Luka was out last night, but is Cleveland for real this year? Because I think Harden gonna harden this. That's always going to be the thing. How the thing is it's going to work in the regular season. How does Donovan Mitchell and Harden coexist in the playoff time when both guys are going to want the ball come crunch time? How is that going to work? It's going to work in the regular season. It's going to work. They'll figure it out. You know, they're playing good so far. Even before Harden came, they were playing really good ball. How does it work in the playoffs? That's always going to be the test because Cleveland has shown they could be a regular season team, but they're just looking at last year. I mean, they won 65 games last year, and then they got bounced in the second round to a team they should have beat. So LeBron made them trade assets. He can't complain. I don't know how much LeBron has power of the Lakers. I think we assume they do, but I don't know how much power he actually has with the Lakers. What's your spread picks for tonight? I don't have the. If we're just going to go spreads, is LeBron playing? I don't think LeBron's playing tonight. Is LeBron playing? Usually on back-to-backs, they might send him out. If LeBron is out tonight, and there's no Luka's out, I don't see him on the injury report. I think the Lakers cover because 9.5 at home is a lot. It's a lot of points to give for the Spurs. So I think the Lakers cover that. Suns 8.5. I don't know. That's a big margin too. That's tough. Rockets 8.5. Those are big spreads. Even the Knicks Pacers spread is good, but I feel confident in that one more than the others. I think Clippers cover. Phoenix. I give Phoenix the points, and I give. I think the Lakers cover. Reeves is going to have an overload tonight. Him and Kennard. Yeah, that means there's going to be a lot of points scored by the Spurs. You might see Dylan Harper or Stephon Cass off a big night. Stephon Cass off a big night today. Did they say how long the Detroit players are going to be suspended for leaving the bench? They didn't say, but he's going to get suspended for some time. He's going to get a few games at least because you cannot leave the bench. That's an automatic suspension. So it's just a matter of how many games for Stewart. Whoever was involved, I think it was as Stewart. It was Duran because Duran threw a punch. Miles Bridges and Dubate. They're all going to get suspended. Stewart probably 30. No, I don't know if he'll get 30 games. He's definitely going to get suspended for some time. How you feel about Spurs? Should they handle the Fox? Oh, that's a good question, Jackpot. The Spurs situation with their three, I think they're just going to let it play out for this year, maybe another year before extensions start hitting, because they already showed they re-signed De'Aaron Fox, right? They gave him the bag. Obviously, the next one lined up is going to be Stephon Castle after next year. I think that's when they're going to essentially pick who they feel like is coming further along and who's going to better fit for Wembanyama and who works the best with Fox. So there's a lot of factors in that. And I think Dylan Harper can get them a lot. I think Stephon Castle is a better fit right now, honestly. So if you're telling me, I think they will trade Dylan Harper. It's a good situation to have because all three of those guys are, to me, all, Fox has already been an all-star. I think I love Stephon Castle coming out. I thought him and Klingon should have been the number 1 and 2 picks. I think Stephon Castle has some SGA in his basketball, in his game. I said that doing a lot of draft stuff. I know that might sound crazy, but if you watch some of his movements, it's a lot of SGA in there. I would buy into him, and I would flip Dylan Harper. If you need to get a wing, you flip him along with some expiring contracts, Keldon Johnson and stuff. You can get a really good player in return. So they're in a good spot, the Spurs. So that's just how I feel about that. So I would stick with, you want the vet in Fox, and that's why you trade for him and you give him that. So he's most likely going to stay. But I think right now I would say Dylan would be the odd man out if they were talking about trade scenarios. But that can flip next year because Dylan can, Dylan showed that if Dylan was on any other team, we'll be talking about him in the rookie of the year, with Khan and Cooper Flag for rookie of the year honors. Like he would be there. But he's in a situation where he's the third guard on a really good on the number 2 team in the Western Conference that could win a championship. I'm still mad our whole squad got removed when they flipped Charlie Ward like a quarter. Charlie Ward, I got to interview Charlie Ward. That was one of my favorite interviews. I was actually going back to that interview and maybe possibly re-uploading it. That was one of my favorite interviews. He's a dope guy. We talked about it because I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. We talked about the rivalry with him, Florida State. So Charlie Ward's that before RJ Barrett. Charlie Ward was the last Knicks player to get re-signed who was a first-round pick. That showed you how bad they still haven't done a good job with first-round picks, but that's how long ago it was before the Knicks re-signed a first-round pick. And then they traded RJ Barrett right after that, which was funny. Yeah, because I remember when we left the bench way back, Chris. Yeah. Yo, what up, Don Juan? Knicks Fan Wilder. Make sure to check him out. Always posting good clips, but everything Knicks related. Go check them out, Knicks Fan Wilder. They got a YouTube channel. They post a lot of things on TikTok and Instagram. Go check out my guy. So I'm on YouTube also, Off the Ball Podcast. Check me out if you're